Good afternoon, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining us at the Forum on Religion, Extremism and Identity Politics. This forum is jointly organized by the Institute of Policy Studies and the Ministry of Home Affairs. As we will begin soon, please ensure your mobile devices are switched to silent mode. Today's proceedings will be recorded and shared on the IPS website and our social media platforms. This forum is open for full media coverage. And now it is my pleasure to invite IPS Senior Research Fellow, Dr. Mathew Mathews, to deliver his opening remarks. Dr. Mathews, please.
Good afternoon, distinguished guests. I'd like to welcome you to this forum on religion, extremism, and identity politics. It's jointly organized by the Institute of Policy Studies at the Lee Kuan Yew School of Public Policy at NUS and the Ministry of Home Affairs. We're very delighted to have a very good turnout for this meeting. We have representatives and leaders from many religious and community organizations, the public service, and academic institutions. Also very grateful to have some very distinguished speakers who are right here in front, some of them from Singapore and some from across the globe. So we very much appreciate their coming here, and we're very grateful. We look forward to hearing from them. Last year, IPS, with support from MHA, organized a forum on religious harmony. The intent of the first forum was to examine new demographic and societal trends that may have an impact on the maintenance of religious harmony. Religious harmony is a key factor for multi-ethnic and multi-religious Singapore's long-term stability and success. We had some takeaways from that forum, one of which was that religious leaders play an important role, especially in being role models through how they interact and connect with others or people of other faiths. We also looked at the issue of emerging threats, especially in the form of increasing segregationist tendencies. And that happens sometimes as a result of increasing notions of religiosity. There's no necessary causal connection between increasing religiosity and segregationist practices. In fact, earlier this year in our IPS paper, I had a group called the Friendly Faithfuls. As we poll Singaporeans, we realize there's a good proportion of Singaporeans who have very strong religious beliefs, but at the same time are able and have very, very positive relationships with people of other faiths. In the first forum, we also had former Deputy Prime Minister and Minister for Home Affairs, Mr. Wong Kan Seng, who shared the necessity for laws and institutions to maintain religious harmony, considering how religious harmony is so much fundamental to our identity and survival. Today, we also have the opportunity to hear from our current Minister of Home Affairs and Law, Mr. K. Shanmugam, and he'll be giving us some ideas of how hopefully we can hear some ideas about the direction that Singapore will need to take, considering the many threats that are here for religious harmony, which are happening globally. In this forum, we discuss religion, extremism, and the emergence of identity politics. The first panel will provide us an important update on global trends in religious fundamentalism and right-wing extremism. Explain to us how these potent threats can divide our communities. The second panel will examine the interplay of religion and politics, especially what happens in our region. Our neighborhood is replete with examples of religion-driven electoral politics. Undergirding the discussion of our two panels is the notion of identity politics, a term we are hearing much more frequently in more recent times. It represents an emerging trend with more people identifying with along narrow ethnic, cultural, and religious lines. There's also been an emergence of groups internationally who try to maximize their space and influence at the expense of others, often encroaching the common space. When the mix is right, especially when religious ideology is used to assert a group's ethnic or cultural identity and the rights related to that, this can be a very potent force. But whatever the mix, identity politics of all kinds has resulted in communal tensions and societal polarization, and sometimes violence and death has happened abroad. There are recent events which bear witness to this. We are very familiar with the 15 March Christchurch mosque mass shootings, where many were killed and injured, and also the 21st April Sri Lanka Easter bombings, where there were coordinated terrorist attacks at churches and hotels. These are consequences of what happens when identities are not properly managed. The reality is Singapore is not immune to extremism. Singaporeans are well connected to religious ideas and beliefs and leaders across the globe. The internet has allowed many Singaporeans to access and listen to the teaching of foreign religious teachers, some of whose ideas are extreme. Also, a small group of Singaporeans are susceptible to the allure of extremist or fundamental ideals. We have heard reported in the press at various times, individuals who are radicalized and who have been subsequently detained. We also hear about foreign religious leaders who come to Singapore and to provide their religious services, and some of them have extremist tendencies. We read in the press about a few who have been denied entry into Singapore because they have views which are antithetical to the notion of preserving religious harmony in Singapore. Despite the concerns that have been raised about extremist speech, we also have learned through some of our recent surveys that some Singaporeans potentially have more liberal attitudes when it comes to freedom of speech, for instance. And they find it acceptable to allow religious extremists to publish their views online. We also know that while most Singaporeans trust those of other races and religion, there's also a portion of Singaporeans who are suspicious of those of other religions and find them a threat. Again, a finding that comes out from our March study, which has been well popularized. The Singapore identity is closely related to our assertion that we are a multiracial and multi-religious nation. Here, inclusivity and respect for each other's differences is nothing less than what defines us as a nation. Religious and racial harmony is something that Singaporeans treasure. As such, getting a better grasp on the issues shared today on religion, extremism, and identity politics and their impact on Singapore is crucial. What we need to do as a country in light of the developments elsewhere is also crucial if we are to ensure the success of maintaining religious harmony. So with that, we are looking forward to all the great presentations that we have today, and I hope that you will engage our speakers and will have a good time at this conference. Thank you very much.